Hello and welcome to another episode of DeDubs Plays. In the last episode we built this lovely little suburb here, which is all very nicely decorated. We completely forgot to talk about the landscaping that we did over here, and we upgraded the highway roads just here. We're going to be working on some more road upgrades in a few minutes, and possibly be reworking some of this suburban district over here as well. And then we're going to be starting to lay out our ore industry area over in this section here. But before we get to any of that, we have unlocked a couple of tiles, and we're going to have a look at those and talk about what I'm envisioning for the city moving forward. So I think the first couple of tiles that we're going to buy are going to be this one, and that's because the oil industry is down in this area here, and I want to work on getting the industries DLC industry areas set up quite early. I think this tile here might be a good place to put the agriculture industry and possibly the timber industry as well. And the reason that I want to get it set up quite early, well, there's a couple of advantages. First of all, the industries DLC industry areas actually generate quite a good income. Rather than just paying the taxes like generic industry does, you generate revenue based on your production chain in the industries DLC areas. So they are a good little earner, and it's good to get that set up from an early stage, get that income coming in. But the other advantage to setting them up quite early is that they actually become a bit more difficult to level up once you've got higher educated citizens. With the generic industry, you can apply the Industries 4.0 policy, and that will allow the industry areas to employ higher educated citizens. But that doesn't work with the Industries DLC areas, and you will start to find that you're struggling to get the employee numbers up that you need for the higher, the 5-star level ups, if all of your citizens are highly educated. So we'll get these set up quite early, and then we won't have to worry about that. These two areas here I think are going to be where I'm going to put the downtown. They're kind of going to be the centre of the city, and the downtown is really the centrepiece of the city, so it makes sense to put it kind of in the middle. We're going to have a couple of bridges going across between these two land masses. I'm thinking this area here probably going to have a little bit of industry down the left hand side of it, and then I was thinking it might be fun to put a sort of old town area in there, using some of the European themed buildings and some of the unique buildings that have got a more classical architectural style. Have it sort of like that was the old city where the city first got built up. Maybe it started off as a harbour city, and we'll put the fishing industry along the coastline there as well. And it built up there originally, and then oil was discovered, and the city developed down into this area. Not really sure about airports and campuses yet, although I think that area in between the highways there might be a good spot for the airport. I think it looks big enough. Airports do require quite a significant amount of space, but I think we can fit an airport in there. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at the moment with thinking about where things are going to be positioned. So let's buy these two here, and then the next one will be this one probably, and we can get the oil industry in down there. So in the last episode I completely forgot to mention, after losing that footage, that I'd done some landscaping over here. Probably spotted it in the time lapse, but yeah, I forgot to talk about it. So I just smoothed it out, made it look a little bit more natural, made it follow the line of the cliff there, and I think that looks quite nice. But now let's get into upgrading these roads. So we need to do the highway roundabout here and the junction slip roads. We'll upgrade this road here into a 4-lane road, and yeah, we're probably going to need to rework some of the residential area here as well whilst we're at it. And whilst I start working on this, we'll have our usual little chat. And I want to talk about why I like to have these little chats. Now, I'm quite new to this. I'm still finding my feet, finding my identity as a creator. And I know that my content isn't at the standard that I want it to be at. And I have some pretty solid ideas about some of the things that I need to do to get it to the level that I want it to be at. And I kind of feel like if somebody were to stumble across my channel and I didn't mention the changes that I'd been making and the changes that I'm intending to make moving forward, and they just took that as a snapshot of the quality of my content, they might just assume that all of my content is like that and they might not want to continue watching. Whereas if I have these little chats and I sort of talk about the progress that I'm making and the progress that I'm intending to make moving forwards, then the hope is that people might be a bit more interested in following the journey and seeing the progress that I make, seeing me develop as a creator. So I kind of feel it's important to sort of keep you updated on where I feel I need to improve, and also to ask for your feedback as well on where you think I need to improve, because getting the feedback from the audience is always going to be really useful in helping me to know whether I'm moving in the right direction, if I'm making the right sort of changes. So yeah, that's why I kind of feel like it's important to share with you what I'm learning and what I'm intending to what changes I'm intending to make as I move forward and as I grow as a creator, and hopefully keep you interested in watching me develop. So I'm getting a lot of power issues over there. What's going on? Oh, I've cut out the right, let me just throw in a power line here quickly. That's going to be that'll do. Right, we'll put that in there. Yeah, in the last episode I talked about my camera work. That was the thing that I was really focusing on trying to improve, and I think the camera work looked a lot smoother in the last episode. Hopefully you agree. I've also ordered a pop shield and a boom arm for my microphone, so I think that should help with further improvements to the audio quality. The audio is definitely a lot better in the last episode. Still not perfect. I got the levels wrong in part of it. It was really quiet, but that was my fault rather than the equipment. So yeah, that's definitely progressing nicely. Also got a lot of ideas about how to improve things on the production side. My little logo was finished for the last episode, and I was quite happy with the way that turned out, and there's going to be lots more little things like that coming over the course of the episodes, but they do take a bit of time for me to put together, so don't expect all of them to be appearing at the same time. That's definitely going to be projects that is going to take a bit of time to work on, and they'll be slowly added over time. But yeah, I've got lots of ideas about how to make improvements on that side of things. I think overall the content is definitely moving in the right direction, and I'm going to pause the game speed quickly. And I think a lot of the improvement now is going to come from just fine-tuning things and practicing, and obviously I get the practice by doing it, so hopefully there'll be a consistent improvement as the episodes go on. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're headed. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of mirroring what's going on the other side there. So I'm going to fill out these green belts, similar to what we've done over here at some point. And yeah, we're gonna change the spacing of this district a little bit, I think. I think what I'll do actually is I will do a quick little time lapse, just rework part of this district, and then we'll get on to starting to lay out the industrial area up in this area. So yeah, I'll be back with you shortly. So I may have got a little bit carried away reworking this district. I pretty much rebuilt the entire thing, moved all of the roads up just a little bit because the spacing wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, and you'll notice that the ends of a lot of these roads don't actually connect to the main road, which is just as I was talking about in the last episode when I covered road hierarchy. It's just minimises the amount of junctions on the main road there so that the traffic can continue to flow freely. As you can see, we've got footpaths between all of the rows of houses to make sure we've got that walkability, giving the citizens options other than using their cars. In the middle here we put this large park. Great thing about this large park is that it has nodes on it. If I just go into the footpaths, you can see that there are points where the footpath will connect, and that means that you can just expand it and make it into a much bigger park. And when we fill this out, we'll use the same trees that are in the park tree palette, and it'll just look like it's a much larger park than the original asset. We put the schools, well, we moved the schools over to here, so we've got the elementary and the high school just there. I'll put a little bit of decoration around behind those at some point as well. Did a little row of shops just in here, so we've got a nice little commercial district for all of the residents in the area to do a little bit of shopping. Just over here we put in the service buildings. So we've got the fire station, the police station, the clinic, and I also added the post office there as well. And then we've got more shops along the back here. Just behind the shops I put in a cycle path, so cycling is another really good option. We can see a cyclist just zooming along there, and these here, they're markers for me. I know that I'm going to want to put in rail here. There's going to be a passenger rail line and a cargo rail line, so I've put these in as markers and reminders that I need to leave space for the rail network. So now that we've covered what I've done there, let's start looking at this ore industry area. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to level off the terrain a little bit, and we're just going to cut into the hillside. Let's turn the intensity up there. Just going to cut into the hillside just a little bit and just expose some of this darker grass. That's where the ore rich ground is. We don't need a huge amount of it. I apologise if there's some sounds in the background there. My cat is suddenly very interested in the microphone. But yeah, as I was saying, we don't need to clear a huge amount of this because we only need to put the extraction buildings on that soil. The processing buildings, the storage buildings, all of those can go around it. So we'll just cut out a little bit, and this is going to look really good once we've got it up to level 5. We unlock the large ore mine. That's like got this giant excavator on it which will cut into the hillside, and it'll look like it's just excavating a big area out of the hillside. I think it's going to look really good. But we'll just carry on just leveling off a little bit of this area. So I think that will probably do it. We'll put in a little industrial road along here. We want to try and get this parallel to, let's put the snapping back on. We want to get parallel to this, so if we go right about there, yeah, I think that'll do nicely. Okay, so I just threw in a little cut there whilst I made sure I got the measurements right for this little area. I know I want to put a couple of the rotary kiln plants in here once they're unlocked, and they're 16 by 16. So I've just measured this square out to have a 16 by 32 gap in the middle. Obviously we can't put those in for a while yet, so we'll just put in whatever we've got available to begin with. I also cleared out some of the trees over here because nobody wants to sit and watch me deleting trees, and we're going to extend this area over in this direction. Now I want to make sure I leave a little bit of space for the cargo rail station that's going to service this area, so we'll bring the road. I think we'll actually level this terrain a little bit more as well. But we'll bring the road over in this direction a little bit. There we go. It doesn't matter if we've got a few rough edges on the hillsides here, because obviously being a quarry area, you kind of expect it, so that's not an issue. But we'll bring this road out probably from about there, and then we can stick the cargo station on this side of the road. And if I've spaced that right, the rail line from the cargo station will just miss this road here, and we can join it up over here a ways. I'm thinking probably the cargo station will go more towards this end, so we've got a bit of space to connect it up. So what I'll do is I'll have the line continue this way, and then I'll have a kind of an extra bit that comes across here to the station and then rejoins the line there. And you want to leave at least a train's length on these bits so that they don't cause tailbacks with other trains that are trying to get past on the main line. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why I marked this out, just so that I keep it in the forefront of my mind that I need to be thinking about the space I need to leave for the rail. But anyway, we've made a start here. Let's hook up the main road to our industry roads here and start painting the industry district. So we want to be about here. We'll go all the way along there and along here. Might need to be a little bit bigger than that, but we'll see when we get there. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to put in the ore industry main building. I think we'll put that maybe on this side. We'll put that here. Sorry, I skipped that screen quite quickly there. Basically it was just showing us that we've unlocked the small ore mine, the ore grinding mill, and I'm going to put up the speed because I've just realised I'm a little bit low on cash, and the sand storage area. Need to bring up some power and some water, so we'll do that whilst we're waiting for the income to increase. We'll just take the power off of this one for the time being, I think. Right to there, and then throw in some pipes. Where's my nodes? There we are. I'll go to about there. I don't really need to extend it any further that way, so we'll just leave that. Then we'll go there, and then just hook these up to the existing infrastructure. There we go. Right, now being that I didn't consider the financial situation, I think I will probably have another little cut here, and I'll bring you back when we've got a little bit more money to work with. In the meantime, I think I'll probably add some of the decoration to these areas here, just throw in a few trees and that. Of course I'll show you what I've done when I've finished, so come back to you in a moment. So I didn't do a huge amount. We filled out this park a little bit. I've put in a nice little area here with some stalls and a gazebo, and then at the other end we've got a grill and another gazebo, and then we've put horse statues either side here to make a kind of grand entrance. Just a little bit of sparse decorations around the schools, and then I put in a load more of the zoo fencing along the highway to make that highway barrier, and I just added a little bit just down here to give me a clearer idea of where the rail's going to lie. But we've got a little bit of money now, so we'll start putting some of this industry in. Now the small ore mine is the only extraction building we have available to us at the moment, so we're just going to throw a couple of these in over here. And yeah, we're getting 48 tons per week regardless of where we position it, so that should be fine. And we also need to get some processing buildings in, so we'll put an ore grinding mill in here as well. Hopefully if we put it in about here, it will I'll try put it in here, and hopefully the power will transfer across. I might need to throw a power line in. Yeah, I'm going to need to... no, do you know what? I've got a storage area as well, so we'll put one of these in. Just about... where is it there? Just about there. Okay, that should keep everything running. Okay, so somehow I managed to do my final recording session for this episode with my mic muted, so I'm doing my first ever voiceover now. Here I was just... talking about how we needed to get a population of 150 to level up the ore area, and that meant that we were going to need to start continuing to grow the population and expand the city, and then come back to the ore industry at a later point. I spoke about before, being able to expand the suburban area over in this direction, we were going to need to work out the space that the interchange hill is going to take up, and so that was the last thing that we're going to work on in this episode. And we're going to be building a Dcmi interchange, which I'm going to flash up on the screen. And this is a clever little interchange. It's quite compact, really good at handling heavy traffic flow, and reasonably easy to build as well. So a DCMI interchange has a bit of height to it, where the roads cross over each other. You obviously have to have one going over the other, and I felt that it was a good idea to balance that height with a bit of depth. So I decided I was going to move the highway back a little bit and sink a channel into the ground so that the highway can be below the ground level, and the overpass is obviously above ground level, and that would give it a nice good balance. Then I pulled a road out from here to give me a marker to work from whilst I was trying to get the height right. It did take me a little while to play with the heights, but yeah, I talked about just taking the terrain tool, taking it to a nice soft intensity, and just gently lowering the land and trying to eyeball it. And if you take a piece of road, raise it up to the height that you want it, which in this case is 3 steps, obviously on the smallest step level, and then just tilt the camera back and have a look, see where you think it's at. Obviously at this point it's still too high, so I'll go a little bit deeper with the terrain tools, but it's just about working the terrain tools gently, a little bit at a time on the lowest intensity, and then once you think you've found a reasonably good level, then using the level terrain tool just to widen that up a little bit. I think here I'm fairly close, but not quite there, I think. And I do, just lower it a tiny bit, and then I think I use the level out tool at this point just to widen this space a little bit. I did actually decide that I was going to put a cut here because I was still not quite right, but I'll run the tape just a little bit longer to show you what I did next. So now I'm eyeballing it and I'm thinking that looks pretty good, so what I do is I just try pulling the road out and getting it to join up, and I can see that it's got a slight downward slope, so I've gone a little bit too low. I just keep working on it, but it does take me quite a while to get the levels right, so I'll skip a lot of this. Now at this point I've found the nice level that I like. I've just added a couple of stretches of road which I've used the road guidelines from the highways to line up with, and I've used the smaller roads just to make sure I've got enough of a gap between them to be able to put the pillars of the roads that are going to go over the top. Here I'm just talking about how I'm going to line up the roads, so I'm just going to use the grids that are either side there and just space them out, just so that the roads that piece of road there would run between them if there was enough space. So just got a two tile gap between those 2 stretches of road, and I need to put those in as markers so that when I do this piece I've got something to a road guideline to line up with. Now I use the smallest snap and I go up by 5 steps, and then on one side we bring that down to the ground, so you've got a little downward slope, and then on the other side start with 5 steps again, line up with the road marker that I put that little guideline road in with, and this time we're going to find the level, which is just there, and we're going to go up 2 snaps. So we've got a road that slopes up gently, and then obviously on the opposite side we do exactly the opposite. So with the first one we find a level and go up 2, and then with this one we bring it down to the ground, and then we've got a nice even slope that goes from from up to down on one side and down to up on the other side. Now I just take that road out just to make sure I've got a little bit more space to work with. And I talk about adding another little marker roads because when you put the diagonal roads in, the crossover roads, you'll lose the snap to the roads that you've already put in. So I just put a couple of little markers there so that once these crosses are in, I've still got a road guideline to work from. And that's what I'm explaining here whilst I'm moving the camera around. Do the same thing on the other side, of course, which I do there. And then we start with the lower road. We look for a 45-degree angle, and we just pop that piece of road in there. And then on the other one, we again look for the 45-degree angle, but we also come down 2 snaps. Then we do exactly the same thing on the other side, so I'll just skip past that bit quickly. And then now we've got that in, we pull out a little piece of road here and delete that. This is just so that I've got the nodes to work from with the road guideline, but I've also given myself just a little bit of extra space to work with. And it turns out to be perfect amount of space, just enough to get the piece of road in that I want at the length that I want it. And then all I need to do is line up the other pieces of road with the same nodes to make sure they're all the same length, and we're left with something that looks a little bit like this. The next thing to do is to start looking at the highway and just make sure we've got a nice gentle slope to bring it down underneath the interchange, and start looking at the landscaping for that. And our tool of choice for this job is the slope tool, which just put the marker at the point where you want to slope to, and yeah, you get these nice gradual slopes there very easily. It takes a little bit of getting used to, I think, the slope tool. I was a bit I wasn't entirely comfortable with it when I first started using it, but once you get the hang of how it works, it's actually a really easy tool to use. So yeah, definitely worth having a little bit of a practice with the slope tool, because you can get some really nice smooth slopes using it once you get used to the way that it works. And yeah, just drawing the highway in, and as you can see, we've got a lovely gentle slope there for the highway. Nice and gradual, exactly what I was looking for. Now by this point I've mirrored that slope on the other side, and I've also upgraded all of the roads on the overpass section so that they're all one-way roads and they're all facing the correct direction. I'll just demonstrate that at this point here, and I'm talking about now working on the slip roads. So what I did with the slip roads, I turned the road snapping off. I select the curved road, and I'm looking for a 135 degree angle, and I'm looking for a road length of 5. And the only real way to do this is to eyeball it. Normally I measure everything and I try and get my measurements as precise as possible, but you've got nothing to measure it against in this case, so you just have to use your best judgment to try and make sure you get the same kind of curve on the opposite side as well. I started with the higher ones because that's the trickier one to get in place usually, although having said that, I had a bit more trouble getting the lower slip roads to work properly the way that I wanted them to when I was building this time. Here I realised that the corner of that road is a little bit too close, and I'm going to have to get rid of it, and we'll fix that in the next episode. We're really short on time in this episode, so I just decided to get the junction finished and call it an episode once I'd done that. But yeah, I had to take out a little bit of the road here, which, as I say, we'll fix in the next episode, and yeah, just copied what I did on the opposite side, and I think I'll skip ahead a little bit here. So I decided to skip ahead to the finished article here. I felt like it was just a lot of more of the same, really. But if you want a proper tutorial on how to build the DCMI junction, then I think I will do that at some point in the not too distant future. But yeah, it's a clever little design. If you're coming up the highway, both of the slip roads for whichever direction both join on the same side because of the way the crossover, the overpass crosses over. So yeah, really clever design. Actually one of the few junctions that we build in cities that doesn't actually exist in the real world yet. I know there are plans to build them because they are very innovative design, but they're amazing at keeping the traffic flowing because you don't have any cross traffic at all on it. And they're really compact and yeah, nice junction. One of my favourites, despite the fact that it's not the prettiest, and I usually go for aesthetic. But yeah, I thought it was a good idea just to skip to the end because I'm very aware of the time factor at the moment. So yeah, at this point I just started talking about what the plans are for the next episode, and just in this area here we're going to start building or extending the suburban area, get some more residents in, get the population up so that we can level up the ore industry area. Obviously as the ore industry area levels up, we will come back to it and make the improvements as they're unlocked, and then I think we might even start building some road infrastructure over in this direction, and maybe put a bridge over the river there, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.